Imagine a raging inferno engulfing one of the greatest cities in the world. Houses collapsing, people fleeing, flames devouring everything in their path. But amid the chaos, a humble pig becomes an unlikely hero, saving St. Paul's Cathedral from total destruction. Sounds unbelievable? But this astonishing event really happened in 1666, and the story of the fire-snuffing pig will leave you speechless. The year was 1666. London was a crowded city built mostly from wood, with narrow streets and homes crammed together, perfect fuel for a fire. On the night of September 2nd, a small spark in a bakery on Pudding Lane triggered what would become one of the most devastating urban disasters in history, the Great Fire of London. Fueled by a strong wind and dry conditions, flames spread like lightning. Over 4 terrifying days, more than 13,000 homes, 87 churches, and hundreds of businesses were reduced to ash. Tens of thousands of people fled the city. Firefighting efforts were chaotic. Buckets of water were passed hand to hand. Fire breaks were created by tearing down houses, but it was rarely enough. And in the middle of this growing catastrophe stood one of the most important structures in all of London, St. Paul's Cathedral. This iconic church, centuries old and full of priceless relics, was now directly in the path of the inferno. Firefighters rushed to protect the cathedral. Workers carried buckets of water, tried to clear nearby buildings, and kept watch for embers. And this is where things get strange. In the midst of the chaos, a pig, yes, a pig, reportedly began rooting and grunting near the base of the cathedral walls. At first, it didn't seem unusual. Pigs were often kept in the city, especially near markets. But one firefighter noticed that the pig kept sniffing and stamping at a patch of ground. He investigated and found a smoldering ember tucked beneath some debris, just inches from catching on flammable tar. He quickly doused it with water. Crisis averted. But that wasn't the only time. Over the next few hours, workers noticed the same pig, or maybe more than one, alerting them to hidden embers on the cathedral grounds. Each time, they acted quickly and stopped a fire from taking hold. The pig had somehow saved the church, and it didn't even know it. Now, you might be wondering, is this real history or just a strange old legend? Surprisingly, several historical accounts back this up. One comes from Richard Newcourt, who wrote about the fire just a few years later. He described someone asking how the church was saved and replied that a pig had been found rooting near the vaults, revealing a smoldering fire that could have destroyed the cathedral. Even John Evelyn, a respected diarist who witnessed the fire firsthand, wrote about smoldering embers inside the cathedral's crypt. Though he doesn't mention pigs, his account supports the idea that small fires could have easily consumed the church if they weren't found in time. Whether or not it was one pig, several pigs, or sheer luck, something or someone repeatedly pointed out these hidden dangers. So, why does this strange tale still stick with us? Because it's a powerful reminder that help doesn't always come from where you expect it. We often picture heroes as firefighters, soldiers, or leaders. But sometimes it's a pig sniffing around that tips the scales of history. It's also a story about how small actions, a snort, a stomp, a grunt, can create massive ripple effects. If that ember hadn't been found, St. Paul's could have burned. If the fire reached its core, London might have lost its most treasured building. In many ways, this story shows us that even the smallest among us can make a massive impact. Despite the damage, St. Paul's Cathedral didn't collapse during the fire. Later, it was heavily rebuilt by the legendary architect Sir Christopher Wren, who turned it into the Baroque masterpiece we recognize today, complete with its iconic dome. To this day, people still marvel at how St. Paul's was spared, especially when everything around it burned to the ground. And though the official history books don't award any medals to pigs, some Londoners have never forgotten the four-legged hero who may have made the difference. Before we wrap up, here are a few more strange facts about the Great Fire. Fire breaks, which were meant to stop the fire by demolishing homes, were delayed due to political arguments. Had they acted faster, much of the city might have been saved. The fire was so intense that it melted the lead roof of St. Paul's Cathedral, which flowed down the streets like lava. Some people believed the fire was punishment from God, while others blamed foreigners or spies, causing widespread panic. But perhaps the most unbelievable part of all is this. Without a curious pig's intervention, the most famous church in London might have disappeared forever. So, now you know, the pig that saved a cathedral wasn't a myth, but a strange and fascinating chapter in real history. If you enjoyed this story and want more weird but true facts from around the world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And tell us in the comments, what's the strangest true story you've ever heard? See you next time on Strange but True Facts, where history gets weird.